Hello, everyone. We've got a problem. There's just not enough netball to talk about, right? Only the 17 games to watch in one weekend across 3 countries and 3 time zones. And on Off the Court, we've got you covered. Think of us as the annotated notes to swat up on your exams, which makes Tamsin Greenway the kid you'd bung a fiver to write your paper. You'd never do that, would you?
Never.
Yeah, cheat. That's what we're going to do over the next 20 minutes or so. Let's get on with it. The first question to answer, who do you stick on a buzzer shot if your life depends on it? The answer actually came last week. Helen Housby, our guest on Off the Court, because what a moment. We'll talk Super League in a minute, but let's talk about the return of club netball in Australia. They call this the greatest rivalry in club netball. We'll debate that, possibly. We'll maybe argue that. 25 years on from when they first met, Firebirds against Swifts. This was round 1 of Suncorp Super Netball. We're going to show you the final 60 seconds, although it felt like, I don't know, about 10 hours. This is what happened.
Firebirds, defensive end, just working overtime, trying to come up with a win.
So what do the Swifts do here? Do they play the ball around? Do they go for the quick shot?
They don't do that.
It's a turnover. 63 apiece, 50 seconds to play. Firebirds in possession. They are on their home court.
The Firebirds in this situation, Bryony Akel is up and about. They just need to remain calm, which is the most ridiculous thing to say.
Simpson to Bowetta. The Firebirds have the next centre as well. Ravalian. What a game for round 1. Dunkley picks it up. Ravalian's got the ball in hand. The little jig.
Beautiful shot, Renata Aiken, centre pass to count with 16 seconds on the clock.
What a start for the Firebirds to season 2021. Cloud comes up with possession. There is 10 seconds for the Swifts to even this game or go for the super shot.
Well, they have to go for the super shot if they get the ball down the court. Paige Hadley's looking at it. We're going into extra time.
64 apiece.
I mean, I wanted an Aussie version of the Housby, but we got it on an Aussie version of the extra time. Brilliant. What a way to start things in Australia. That one went to extra time. First things first, yeah, big tick, Helen Housby. You can watch back last week's show. But also 5 minutes of extra time. Huge fan of that, Tamsin. Keep it short, keep it sharp. Swiss went on to win it.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. I actually picked 2 for the grand final at the end of the season, and I don't think there'll be many doubters after watching that first performance. Just put yourself in some of those shoes, though. Like Megan Anderson, her first game in charge of the Firebirds, and that's how she starts her coaching career in the big league. So incredible, the nerves and the anticipation, and the crowd. You know, that was the one thing I looked at when I was watching the game. Was like how incredible that atmosphere. But a great start to Suncorp. I think that's going to be a cracking season as well. Just more netball to watch.
Yeah, love it. Talking of loving it, Nat Haythornthwaite, who you've played a huge part in her career, had the most feeds in that one, 33. Elsewhere for the England players, Joe Harton's Giants won. That was a game where Australian starting goal attack Kira Austin, she suffered an ACL tear, which is huge for her. We wish her all the best for the future and recovery from that. Kate Shimmin made her 100th league appearance. Her Lightning side beat Jiva Mentor's Magpies, a win 2 for Stacey Francis and her West Coast Fever team. And over in New Zealand, George Fisher still going at it, 48 from 52, as Southern still won again. Not bad then for the netball for the breakfast crew. We're all up for that. But we had ourselves a double header of a weekend in the Super League, rounds 13 and 14. It looks like a train of rivals, doesn't it, on the platform? 10 matches in total. How busy is that? Although it's not that busy at the moment. Train station. First win for Celtic Dragons. Amazing game between Thunder and Bath in there. Serena Guthrie's roar was huge and rippled around the country. That had something to do with it. Dan Ryan with Rhinos tweeted over the weekend that he's loving this journey, as well as he might. Wins over Sirens and Wasps. We will talk about those games a little bit later then here on Off the Court. But first off, Dragons. That win. We have seen little glimpses from Dragons of late, including at Bath. They led them at half-time in round 12. But how did they get their first win?
Well, I've picked out some clips from this game because defensively they just started so strong. You're going to see the intercept here from Rebecca Robinson, but it was the work from Claire Jones, Shona O'Dwyer. You're going to see here on the centre pass, getting a held ball for Surrey Storm, all in the first quarter. And this game remained so close up until the final quarter, but Dragons didn't crack. You're going to watch them here in the last quarter, and this is defensive pressure. Just watch Anna Jones at the back here, just pushing Karen Bailey out, and they stuck to structure the whole time. Abby Tyrrell giving Emma McGee absolutely no space. I mean, not the cleanest place to get the ball, but it was that kind of pressure and structure that the four of them did throughout the whole game that really rattled Storm and got them into the battle. One of the big reasons I think this worked for them is finally 2 games in a row they've stuck to a starting lineup. 11 games previous, they've been mixing this whole lineup up. Sometimes they've been forced into it with injuries and other things that have come around. But, you know, finding a structure and finding a defensive unit is key. This is them, though, in the last quarter in their attack end. And what I think was really important is they could have crumbled here, but look at Claire Jones holding onto the ball for Laura Rudland. And this Rudland, Robinson, Clinton combination is just growing in strength where they trust each other. Robinson not forcing it, allowing the ball to open up. And Amy Clinton, who was lethal under the post. Middleton and Priest hardly got on any ball. And again, you're going to see the confidence from this centre pass. They ended up winning this quarter by quite a margin, which got them the game in the end. And you can see again from Rudland, she doesn't force that ball in. That trust is growing. And it's why I go on and on about keeping to a committed 7 and impacting change rather than just switching bibs and hoping for the best. And Dragons in the end pulled Storm apart. Storm were pretty gutted, and it wasn't their finest performance at all. But I think it's fair. You see the hustle there from Jones. You fair to see how much Celtic Dragons wanted it. You asked me the other week whether Celtic Dragons could win a game, and I said no. And actually, I'm quite happy to eat my words here because finally they looked structured, they looked happy, they had a lineup that worked, they were patient on the ball, and they ended up victorious.
Well, you said, would they win this season? Next up, they've got Thunder, then a little break until Pulse. Do you see them winning again?
I mean, it will be difficult with some of the games that they've got coming up, and Storm was the perfect opportunity for them. But I do want them to kind of stick it out. You can see the quarter scores breakdowns. That fourth quarter, you know, the pressure on them to take that game away, they could have easily crumbled. It was a great opportunity against Storm, a great decision making in terms of the lineup. And finally, I saw them tactically trying to do something. They stuck to task. They worked through it the whole game, and that gave them the win.
Right, next up. A proper marker for me on top 4 aspirations. More disappointment than for Mavericks. 27-all at halftime against Lightning. And then what happened?
Well, they kept themselves in the game, didn't they? And we're going to take a look at this. My biggest thing, and the clips I've picked, is Loughborough Lightning, actually, because this is life without Hannah Joseph at the moment. And Mavericks did a great job on Loughborough Lightning, and we're actually unlucky to come away without any points. You're going to watch the double they did on Mary Chollock, and this is Ella Clark. And one of the things they've not been was patient drawing off. Now, Ella Clark hasn't played a lot of court time out of goal attack. Susie Liversidge has been taking that bib off her. You can see Liversidge there at wing attack, forcing that ball into Chollock again on a 2-on-1. Getting the footwork call, and this is why Loughborough struggled in patches. However, the last quarter they came alive. You can see the patience there from Liversidge. Nat Panagari was exceptional, and this is better from Clark, learning how to pull the 2-on-1. But it took her until the fourth quarter really to step up and take ownership in there, which then broke down that Mavericks defense. And you know, she can go for shots like that when you've got someone like Mary Chollock under the post. I think over the next few weeks they've got to learn how to do that, how they're going to work to pull that 2-off-1, and how Clark's going to be effective. But what they are so good at, look at Jazz Odia-Barron here, creating a held ball, their defensive hustle, and they were key in this game. Panagari, Odia-Barron, and Beth Cobden getting crucial tips, deflections, turnovers when needed. You're going to see the hassle here. You'll watch Odia-Barron come running into the screen, the pressure from Liversidge as well. And it's really interesting because Odia-Barron, who's just picked up the ball there, has been coming on as an impact. I actually think over the next few weeks, Loughborough might be looking to start her because the pressure she's been putting on for this group. You're going to watch her here. This is brilliant. Keep your eye on her. She picks up Chloe Essam. Watch this go across.
Wow.
I know. I mean, the vision and the athleticism to go and challenge that on Sasha Corbin. I mean, she was incredible. Loughborough kept themselves in it with that defensive hustle, which we know they've got. But they've definitely got to look at that attack end if Hannah Joseph doesn't come back into the mix, because Mavericks did take it to them, but still just not the consistency they need.
We've got plenty more games to come, but let's have a look at how the table looked at the end of the weekend then. Bath, Lightning, Thunder and Wasps. We will get your predictions for those top 4 towards the end of the show. And then there's that closable gap to Mavericks and Rhinos. You think too much for Sirens? You think Mavericks have Thunder in round 16, then Sirens, Wasps and Bath? In theory, Is it in their hands? In theory, it's in their hands, but do you see them closing into that top 4?
I think it's a 3-horse race now for the top 4, and Wasps are still my favourites to make it, purely if you look at who's coming up and the position they're in. It's almost theirs to lose, but Rhinos are hot on their heels. I can't see Mavericks doing it. I just can't see where they're going to get that consistency. Even that game against Loughborough, where they looked comfortable for periods of the game, they still, I think it was 12-7 unforced errors. And at that point, you know, we keep saying it, but where are they going to get it back? And when you look at who they've got left to play, Thunder and Wasps and Bath, and of course they drew against Sirens earlier in the year. And yeah, I don't know what else we can say. At what point does it click? I'm just not sure it does for Mavericks.
Well, what's different then when you look at Rhinos' fixtures and who they've got coming up? You said had they lost to Wasps, spoiler, they didn't, more on that later, you thought they were done. That was all because of the games they had coming up. So what now? What's different then for Rhinos?
I just think Rhinos have started to find their feet. We know it would have been a different story if Wallum had been in the squad the whole time, if she hadn't suffered that injury, just because of the way they're playing. They're a team with nothing to lose. Look, they've got big fixtures in Bath and Loughborough, but if they can take a scalp there, all the pressure goes back onto Wasps. They've lost one more game than Wasps, so they've got to take one of those big scalps, a Bath and a Loughborough. I think they could do it against one of them. I don't think they'll do it against Bath. I think they could have a real shot against the Loughborough Lightning, and then Wasps have to go out and take one of those games against Thunder and Mavericks. So I mean, it's going to be a whirlwind few weeks. But what I love about Leeds Rhinos is they're on this trajectory. They're going up. Wasps are still trying to find their feet. Mavericks never really have. But Thunder are charging. The Rhinos are charging into the end of this season, and they are looking good.
Oh, no, she didn't. Right, we will go in depth on that Rhinos win over Wasps in a bit. But first, time to revise some more corkers from the Super League at the weekend. Mavericks would get a win as Dragons. Well, for this weekend, at least a one-hit wonder. We start with Storm, left seeing stars.
Seven Stars and Surrey Storm were each searching for a third win of their seasons in Saturday's opening fixture. Storm displayed early promise, but couldn't quite develop any rhythm, upon which Stars pounced to open up a healthy lead. Karen Bailey's ever-accurate shooting kept Storm within touching distance, but the closing moments saw Stars not only maintain their advantage, but extend it to seal a 46-39 win. Sirens got out to a blistering start in the first few minutes of their game against London Pulse. Defensive pressure from Taylor Cullen and Tuwera Vinkumbo made it difficult for their opponent's attacking lineup to find Ziggy Berger under the post. Whilst at the other end of the court, sharpshooter Niamh McCall was on impressive form, leading the Scottish side to a commanding 10-goal victory. Saracens Mavericks versus Celtic Dragons brought the day's action to a close, with the wind in their sails after their momentous victory over Storm on Friday. Dragons got out hard, but it was Mavericks who would convincingly take the spoils. The combination of Gabby Marshall and Beth Usadale in mid-court and the tireless work rate of Chloe Assam proved exactly what Mavericks needed to take the win.
Half time for us, and like Dragons, we're surprisingly ahead, but can we go hard for the win? All depends on the Greenway team talk. Still to come then in our whip around the Super League, the game of the weekend, and then some. This is Off the Court. If netball is your thing, then you're in luck, because we regularly bounce pass in your direction. We've already talked about momentous wins and buzzer beaters. Let's dip into Sunday's games now with Thunder, Bath and first Rhinos, all nabbing 3 points.
Following their win against London Pulse on Saturday, Strathclyde Sirens were out to protect their 6th spot in the table as they took on Leeds Rhinos. An injured Tuwera Vinkumbo gave way to young gun Rachel Conway, who made her debut in the Sirens' starting 7. Rhinos, well, charged forward, with Donnell Wallum devastatingly accurate for Dan Ryan's side, and Sirens struggling to subdue their opponent's attack, which time and time again fed the 6'2" shooter. A dominant performance from Rhinos, who notched a 20-goal victory. Manchester Thunder stamps their authority right away against London Pulse with a truly ferocious start. The London side suffered a significant loss as co-captain Adio was forced off through injury and replaced by Lindsay Keeble in the 3rd quarter. Thunder showcased their pedigree with a controlled and confident performance, resulting in a 50-42 win. Team Bath maintained top spot in the Vitality Netball Superleague on Sunday evening with a hard-fought 41-37 victory. There were passionate performances all over the court, epitomised by the battle of the centres, Amy Flanagan and Serena Guthrie. Over a dramatic final 5 minutes, Wasps seized the opportunity to move back to within 4, but Bath were not to be defeated and ground out the win to stay sitting pretty at the top.
Sound the alarm or the klaxon or whatever sound you want to make, really, because we've got the game of the weekend coming up. I mean, we always know that Thunder and Bath will be there or thereabouts, Tamsin, in the top 4. Thunder, the 2019 defending champions. Bath, well, I mean, how many Super League winning T-shirts have you got? I think you still get them. Probably got their own printing press, haven't they? How good was this one? And yeah, possibly. And should Thunder have won?
I actually thought Thunder were going to take it, and they definitely challenged Bath. This was one hell of a physical game, an incredible game, actually. We're going to pick it up. When coaches talk about structures and, more importantly, processes, Thunder have found a process. Mvula out the middle, O'Hanlon using backup, Ellie Cardwell under the post, sharing the load in the circle. The list goes on. They have worked out how to make this attacking unit tick. This is why I call it bloodbath. This is Ellie Cardwell winning a cleaner ball off Layla Guscott. I mean, she put her to the ground 3 times in this game, I think. But just watch the feistiness here in a second from Ebony Osara-Brown, who certainly wanted that ball to go back. This is how the game started in the first quarter. Cardwell not playing up to that at all. But, I mean, they went at each other, and Thunder came to fight. Point to prove after a big loss earlier in the season. I think it was 60-35. And they were leading Bath for most of the game, going into the last quarter, 2 up. This was the intent. Emma Dobie back in the squad. You can see Carter in the bottom of your shot here, and just the hassle they put on there. They stopped Borgia getting easy ball, and they just kept going at Bath. They didn't actually turn this ball over, but Amy Carter putting so much pressure on Dobie coming through, and you can see that tracking. They did not let up, and Bath don't like to play that kind of body. They like open, flare, letting ball go, putting stuff in. They battled through, and what was really important with Bath is they showed their class in the last quarter. Serena Guthrie, a big part of that, because I genuinely thought the momentum was within Thunder. This is the last quarter we're picking up here. All their usual stuff, and Mvula out the circle using the backup, but Bath tactically understood where they were going to place the ball, and that is the problem with structure and process if it becomes a little bit predictable, and Thunder will have to look at that. This is the intent then from Bath in the last quarter. After really struggling through most of the game, Sophie Drakeford-Lewis not just driving in the circle, so it meant that Sophie and Allen started to get pulled apart. Borgia started to find far more space. And this just topped it off for me. Imogen Allison, absolutely no fear when this was goal for goal in the last quarter. Look at the ball she sent in. And that's what I'm talking about, open play. I think Thunder are very structured now because they had to find that. They're going to have to start letting loose a little bit because they lost that fourth quarter 12-7. I think fitness in the attack end played a bit of a part, but also the quality of Bath's defensive lineup. They finally stood up. But I tell you what, it was one hell of a fight. And if that goes into a grand final or a semi-final, we are in for a real treat.
Can I ask you something? I know I can ask you anything, but you're ready. If judging on this one game, is this the game that Team Bath went and won the title?
Looking at how they responded, how Guthrie, Allison was so pumped at the end, it was an interesting shift. And there's always a moment in the season. And I actually thought the momentum was with Thunder for most of that game. To turn that, to twist it, and to win in the way they did could be the pivotal moment. I think it's still Bath's title to lose, but everyone's going to go at them. And I think you're absolutely right. I think that will be a little tick in the box at the end of the season where they go, that happened.
Don't throw it back on me. I'm not right about anything. That's all you. Headline it with Tamsin Greenway says. Please do. Right, Monday was manic, wasn't it? Because if we thought that was good, unleash the Rhinos and the Wasps. Now we know why Rhinos can never be damaged by Wasps, why their hide is so thick. They repelled them.
They were good, weren't they? They were really good. And I didn't want to say it before the game. And you all know that I'm a Wasp fan through and through. But yeah, Rhinos are just on a bit of a mission at the moment. I said a few weeks ago, these 3 games were crucial. This is Wasps in the first quarter. Centre pass breakdown, but they get another chance. But watch this. I've been going on about this for weeks. Where's the prep? Where's the structure? You know, they go and get a held ball and a turnover on there. No one presenting for the ball, and Wasps are actually turning over lots of ball. Their defensive unit, Flanagan, Williams, Catlin in there now. Josie Huckle did all right against Donnell Wallam. they were challenging on things. They weren't making it easy for her, but they're just not doing enough down that attack end. So you're going to watch here a great intercept from Fran Williams. That's a live turnover. So in open play, it was 44% taken to goal from Wasps. And you're just going to see that's so uncharacteristic by Fran Williams, rather than building up the play. You talk about a Rhinos team that have got Wallen back. You talk about a Thunder team that have got some structure. Where's Wasps? This is in the fourth quarter. Look at that centre pass. Absolutely no offers and a turnover to Rhinos. You see what that meant to them. And you just think at some point Wasps have got to go, how do we get Rachel Dunn back in the game? And how do we sort this attack end out? Is it Allison? Is it Harris? Is it a half game each? They've got time, and I still think they've got enough quality to do it, but they do need to work out their process. Likewise, for Rhinos, they had some sticky patches in this game, letting Wasps back in, but this last quarter and these two centre passes show just what a quality outfit they are. Every time they went through a sticky patch, they just went back to their understanding of each other. Grierson and Dixon having a field day, bringing Wallen completely into the game and coming out with that 10-goal win. It was a good win for them.
If I was maybe going the simplistic route, I'd say if you swap Jade Clark from her current position with Rhinos and stick her in at Wasps, does that hugely improve them, or where's the area they're falling down?
I think it's the wing attack, goal attack area for me. I showed you those centre pass clips. That's your bread and butter. They lost more on their first and second phase throughout that game. You can't do that. You have to be able to take your centre pass at least to an attempt. When you look at the difference, it was something like, I think, double the amount of goals that Wallen was getting on Rachel Dunn. Like, I've played with Rachel Dunn. I know what she can do under the post. She can do what Wallen's doing, and yet she's not doing that at Wasps at the moment. So at what point do you go, right, Rach, we need you. We need to be able to deliver the ball. And at what point do you sort that centre pass out? How unusual is it not to see Rachel Dunn in that top five? And you look at the shooters that are in there, Donnell Wallen and Kim Borgia right at the top there. Georgia Rowe with the attempts, with the percentage, sorry. But, Rach would usually be number 1 or 2. And she's just not up there at the moment. And I think that has been a struggle for Wasps. But likewise for Rhinos, Wallen, what a find she is.
Yeah, we do love to accentuate the positives. However, there was a little bounce moment from Rachel Dunn. She's wearing her angry face at the moment, isn't she?
Yeah, but she's not actually at her best when she's wearing her angry face. Rach is best when she's able to play free flow netball, and they've got to find that. Look, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I still think it's Wasps to drop out that top 4 because of the position that they're in. They've Rhinos have lost one more game than them. They've got Thunder and Mavericks as probably their 2 toughest games as they go in. They would look at Mavericks saying, we've got to win that. And honestly, if they don't, then do they deserve to be in top 4? That's something I always used to talk openly about the teams. You want to be in there, you've got to beat some of the top scouts at some point. And that's what Rhinos have got to do. They've taken Wasps, but they haven't taken Thunder. They haven't taken Bath yet, and they haven't taken Loughborough. And they've got to prove that as well if they want to make top 4.
When we ran the top 4 predictions right at the start of the season, I think Sirens were in that top 4. Wasps weren't even in there then. We've run it again at Sky Netball for your thoughts. And again, Wasps aren't in there. It's Leeds Rhinos.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised with the momentum that Rhinos have at the moment. But like I say, I'm always vocal about this. You're watching who's left, what teams have got what, where you kind of think the wins are going to come from. And like, it is in Wasps' hands. It is, because they have got that advantage. But I do think what Rhinos can beat one of the top teams. And then pressure is a very funny thing. Remember, Wasps have got Mavericks, a must-win game, the second to last game of the league. And so, if suddenly Rhinos have beaten a Loughborough or a Bath by that point and they're kind of closing in on you, that game suddenly gets blown right out of the water. And then, of course, for Mavericks, who might be in a position where they can't make finals at that point, will go, well, we've got nothing to lose. We want to take it to Wasps. We want to knock them out too. So it does make a really interesting end to the season. I'm very excited about it.
There we go. Tamsin Greenway dropping statements all the way through. Now we know why that giraffe in the background has got that expression of, because it lives with Tamsin. So do we all in Tamsin's mind. Right, good news all. There is more to come in round 15. Here's what's coming up this coming weekend. We've got Stars Lightning to kick off Sunday on the YouTube. But hello, Bath Leeds in there. Before Monday night's action, if we have a look at that, when we return to your telly boxes, the weather-related derby of Lightning Storm and Wasps looking to lick their wounds, which they can do because they're omnivores with short tongues. I told you, it'd be an education from start to finish. Thank you for your part. What would you rate yourself? I'd give us an A-, Tamsin.
Yeah, okay. A solid A. I think an A.
Solid A every day of the week. From teacher Tamsin and myself, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.